Hello, Earth signs, and welcome into your reading for the second half of February, where we'll be taking a look at what the overall energies are. And like the format I did the last time, then we'll pull a few cards individually for each of the zodiac signs, but the main reading will be for all of the Earth signs. So again, for this reading, there's no retrogrades that are happening. I guess, kind of bigger planetary shifts that are going on right now. We do have Venus entering Aquarius on the 16th. So that's going to be changes in your relationships. And it has to do with a lot more independence and kind of unconventional thinking. So you might notice some shifts there. Also, there's solar flares that are going on right now. So that's kind of creating some interesting energy as well. A little bit of, I guess, kind of, I'll call it static maybe. We do have the Virgo full moon on the 24th, and that's kind of that energy of let's get things done. Let's check things off the to-do list. Let's maximize our productivity. Let's just get out there and get things done. It's kind of, clear out that stagnant energy and things that have just been taking too long. The other changes, we do have the Sun entering Pisces and Mercury entering Pisces, and so that's going to be kind of like this influx of creativity and imagination and kind of some intuition as well. So look for those happening in the second half of February for you. And from our crystal deck, we do have this card. It's Journey of the Soul, Elegance, Mastery, and Totality. So sometimes this has actual crystals, and so that's something you can use when you're meditating. Let's see if we do get a crystal here. Frankincense. So don't know that very many people have frankincense lying around, but this Saint Germain frankincense, and this is Elevate, Awaken, and Transform. So those two definitely, go together when you look at the color scheme, and it's a journey of the soul. And so this is your soul ascension journey. Like, you're here to elevate, you're here to learn, you're here to go through these lessons and grow as a soul. So keeping that in mind, it's about transforming and awakening and kind of mastering what you need to master to be able to move on to the next lesson. So essentially you will be stuck looping in your lessons if you don't learn from them and incorporate whatever it is that the universe is trying to get you to incorporate. All right, so let's jump in and see what we have in store. We'll start with our job and career line. So in the recent past, we have Three of Cups. In the present energy, we have the Hierophant. And in the next level of energy coming in, we have the Moon. So with the Three of Cups, that's that celebratory energy. So kind of a sense of friendship. So that's that friendship, like celebratory energy. And that's where you have been from a work perspective. So things have been going well. With the Hierophant being your current energy, that's kind of that traditional structure. And it also has a sense of like a teacher, mentor, guru. So either you could be the guru that people are coming to at work, or you've been able to find somebody who's a good mentor, guru for you. But then the next level of energy, a little bit concerning here, is the Moon energy. And so that has to do with things that are kind of hidden from sight. So there's some sense of illusion or like trickery going on. Sometimes this is also to do with lies. So whether it's somebody at work or in your career field where there's lies that are going on, or whether it's the lies that you're telling yourself about your career situation. So that's something to be aware of, that is kind of hanging out there. And we'll get some clarification when we go sign by sign as to what exactly that looks like. And also it's kind of a little bit of that sense of, maybe futility, like the dogs barking at the moon type of thing. But let's take a look then at love and relationships and see what overall message is coming through. So in the recent past, we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, currently sitting in the Strength in reverse card, and then the Queen of Swords is the next level of energy coming in. So in the recent past, there's been a sense of like moving on and forgiveness. So however that is manifesting for you or whatever that looks like in your relationship. And then we do have the strength in reverse card as where you're sitting right now. So there is this kind of the sense of like weakness and vulnerability and kind of this like lack of courage. So like you've forgiven the other person, and this reads as if it's an active relationship versus for someone who's single who's watching this, but almost like there was something big that left you kind of feeling out in the cold, but then you were able to sort of move past that, I guess, a little bit, where you felt like you were overcoming it and you were moving on from it, but then you're still sitting here feeling vulnerable. So maybe you were moving on, but you didn't really actually heal that. It was more of a, well, let's just bury it and pretend that it didn't happen and look the other way. But the vulnerability piece here and the strength in reverse, kind of that uncontrolled emotions and like that weakened state, is it's almost like you just brushed it under the rug as your way of moving on, as opposed to actually dealing with it. And remember, the overall message for you for the month, this elevate and awaken and mastery and transformation. So this here is about solving these problems or like overcoming them rather than looking the other way and pretending that they don't exist. So then the next level of energy coming in for you is this Queen of Swords. And so she's kind of a little bit of that, I'm going to say not ruthless, but, cutting away any of the BS. And so it's this independent, open-minded, very perceptive type of energy that, you can see past whatever lies or issues were going on. And it's kind of like, all right, let's cut to the chase here. Let's be done with the BSing and, let's actually talk about whatever this issue is. And so this also has a sense of clarity coming in there. And again, we'll take a look more specifically for each sign, how that reads and how that plays out. Ooh. And then these, since there's multiples that jumped, I'll just shuffle them back in. And then let's look here at the life path and mission. In the recent past, you have the Empress, currently sitting in the Hanged Man. And then the next level of energy coming in is this Nine of Swords energy. So, you kind of thought you knew what your life path was before. It seemed like it was this very creative, flowing, like abundant type of thought. So that's kind of where you had been with it. And then you're now sitting in more of a space of like reflecting on that of, is that really true? Is that really my life path and mission? So looking at it from a different perspective, it's a self-imposed sense of reflection there. And it has a sense of also improvement, like you're readjusting your view of what you thought this was. And, so she has to do also with fertility and pregnancy. So it's not necessarily about birthing an actual human being, but like birthing new ideas. Or it could be for some of you that maybe you thought your life path was, the biggest thing was to be a mother. And now you're feeling like, well, maybe there was something more as well that I was supposed to be doing, and kind of just thinking about it as well from that perspective. But the next level of energy that's coming in then is this sense of like anxiety and stress and kind of feeling lost, like you don't know what your life path and you don't know what your mission is because you thought you knew. And then now you're in this reflective energy of going, well, wait a second. Is that really what it is? Is that, was I right? So that's kind of what's coming in then on the life path and mission. So let's take a look at a few oracle cards, and then we'll get into the specific zodiac signs. And with that, I'll pull a few more cards, a couple more oracle cards. All right. So we have health. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. So this is something that's really important. Sometimes when people get onto kind of the spiritual kick, it's, you know, so much of the focus is, oh, on soul, on consciousness. And it's almost like, oh, this physical body, it's so limiting, or, oh, this ego, you know, if only I could just do away with my ego. But you can't be sitting in a place of love and compassion towards all life and then be, you know, trashing the house that soul resides in. So you do need to take care of the physical body. So make sure that you're getting, you know, plenty of rest, plenty of exercise, and healthy food. Okay, so then your light worker card is the initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. So this one came up as well in the fire sign reading. And so it's almost like there's a door, there's a threshold that you need to walk through. And it could be a matter of you're scared to do that because you don't know what it looks like on the other side. And bliss is worth creating from. So just back a second here on this crossing the threshold. So it's almost like there's this sense of, you know, that life will never be the same once you cross that threshold. So you're scared to do it, but that's kind of like your rite of passage. You know, you can sit here and dance around in front of that threshold, but you're never going to know what that actually is until you walk through it. And you'll know how that resonates for you. Is there something that you know that you probably need to do, but you're scared because you know it's going to change things and that you can't go back? And actually this card, and I just looked down and saw this because I've been looking up as I flipped it, is changes. So there are changes that are kind of on the horizons that need to happen. They're probably ones that you've been thinking about for a while and you just haven't done it because you know that it's it's kind of this crossing over a threshold that you can't go back from. So that is the general reading for earth signs. Let's go sign by sign, and we will start with Taurus and see what messages want to come through for Taurus. So we'll flip over and flip a few cards and get some clarification here. So let's take a look at this top line career-wise. What are these lies that are coming out? Or, you know, as it relates to that. So we have our Ace of Swords energy. And Ace of Swords is about new projects and breakthrough and getting some clarity. And then we also have our Seven of Wands in reverse. And so that's going to be about like this burnout and surrender. So you're having some epiphany there of, you know, you thought that everything was going well and that you were on track and getting a guru and mentor. And then all of a sudden there's some sort of clarity that comes through and you're feeling burned out. So maybe that opportunity didn't look quite the way you thought it was going to look. And maybe it sounded great on paper and the way everybody was talking about it, it's like, yeah, that's great. And then you're getting some breakthroughs and clarity about what this new position or what this new project really entails. And then you're going, really? Oh, and reconsidering it. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships and see what wants to come out there. So you have your Five of Swords and Wheel of Fortune. So this is about kind of this ambitious, ruthless, dishonest energy as it relates to this relationship path that's right here. And it's destined and fated. So from that perspective, you know, I think there's been some dishonesty that you're starting to see it for what it is. So with the Queen of Swords, that is that perceptive energy. It's cutting away any of this nonsense and kind of getting straight to the point here. And you know, you felt weak and you thought that you had moved on, but you're not really, you don't, even if you felt like you moved on, you don't feel happy and energized and empowered by it. You feel weak and vulnerable, and there is kind of almost sometimes a level of like hedonism and uncontrolled emotions about it. And so the moving on is either it didn't happen as thoroughly as you were wanting to tell yourself that it had, or you feel like somebody rushed you through moving on from something. And you're getting some clarity on that because you're getting this sense of dishonesty with the situation, and you're seeing through it and you're cutting through that nonsense. So with the Wheel of Fortune, it's destined and fated, and sometimes that just means that you're turning to a better cycle of life. With the Wheel of Fortune, usually that's good. It's like you're getting to a better cycle within your life, and so that one flipped out of there, that your love life is soon ascending to a higher level of commitment. Maybe getting engaged if you're not already married, but then it's beware of codependency. Addictive behaviors are affecting your romantic life. So this one just kind of jumped out there. But this one, this beware of codependency, this is really fitting in here on this line quite a bit. Because this sort of energy of feeling like you'd moved on, but then like, wait a second, no, I still feel weak and not really feeling that positive energy. Like if you had really actually turned a corner and deeply done the healing, you would feel better about it. So it's almost like you moved on because you felt like you had to, because you felt like you had to stay. And then I think you're getting this clarity here of, wait a second, no, this is not the right situation. There's a lot of dishonesty that's going on, and we need to move into a better place, like turning into a better cycle of life. And, so from a timing standpoint, let's take a look and see what the timing looks like for your situation improving. And, it's funny because it's right here on this changes, and bliss is worth creating from. So in order to manifest like a better place for yourself, you need to kind of be in a happier state of mind. Like you can't manifest from a position of fear or anger or resentment. You have to be in a better place. So once the lesson has been learned, so you will be able to move on to a better place in your life once you've learned the lesson. But until you do learn the lesson and incorporate it, you're going to keep looping. So if there's issues with codependency here, you're going to keep looping and looping until you can break this cycle of codependency, which means that you're going to keep, I'll put it this way, waffling between this and this and this and this. So feeling like you're out in the cold and shut out from your blessings, and then you kind of feel like you're moving on, but you're really not, because the only reason you're moving on is because you're in a situation with codependency, and it just keeps cycling. So that's what it looks like on the love and relationship side. So really spend some time focusing on what is the lesson here? What is it that needs to be learned, and how can I incorporate that and then move my life forward so that I'm not stuck in this repeating rut and these repeating cycles over and over. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships. Or I'm sorry, we just did love and relationships. And some of that is this crossing the threshold, of codependency, of breaking through of that, of it's kind of a rite of passage. Like, probably a lot of people have issues at some point in their life with a codependent relationship, and you have to cross that threshold at some point. You have to do that so that you can awaken to your true purpose here and transform and move into more of a position of like elegance and mastery. Like, okay, I did it. So, okay, down on the bottom here, we have our life path and mission. So a couple cards here. We have the Queen of Cups in reverse, and then we have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. So there's a certain sense of fragility here with this. I think because of the fact that you thought you knew what your path was, and then now you're in this deep soul searching and trying to figure out what the path is, and it's leaving you. It's leaving you in that energy of feeling like anxious and stressed and I don't know. And that is contributing to you feeling very fragile and very needy. Like, oh my gosh, I need somebody to tell me what my life purpose is. But you have too many things in the air, like too much that you're trying to juggle. And it's kind of this unorganized feeling, like you're going back and forth. Is it this? Is it this? And you have this sense of, I need somebody else to tell me what my purpose is. But again, I mean, it says this is affecting your romantic life, but I think the codependency part is playing out as well into this life path that, you know, you kind of just want somebody else to tell you, okay, if I was wrong about this, then what is my life path? But that's for you to discover on your own. So one more card here on the, this other deck here. And it says, take a step away from your current problem. And some of that is, especially if there's tendencies of codependency, take a step away from it so that you can see who you are without that relationship, and try to get it back to you and back to what's important to you. How do you want to live your life? So that was the message that we had for Taurus. And now we're going to take a look at the message for, let's take a look at Capricorn and see what messages are coming through for Capricorn. All right. So we've got the Star in reverse, and we have the King of Cups in reverse. So there's definitely, because of the fact that there's this energy of maybe lies that are happening, or feeling like there's somebody tricking you, it's putting you in this feeling of being manipulated, and it's worrying you, and it's stressing you out because you feel like somebody is trying to, take advantage of you. And it's putting you also in this sense of like mistrust, like you're not trusting the people around you. So in this card, in this way, it's the hopes and wishes fulfilled because the divine is pouring out their waters. And in reverse, it's that sense of, wait a second, but I don't know. Like, I don't have that feeling that the divine has my back with this. So let's take a look at a timing card to see when it looks like that situation might change for you once you fully surrender to the divine. So there is a sense of, giving, like handing over the reins and saying, okay, I know that if this is happening, it's happening for my good, my own good, to show me a different path. So if there is manipulation, if there is lies or deceits that are happening at work, if somebody's tricking you at work, it's because acknowledging that it's because the divine wants you to learn a certain lesson there. Like maybe it's the lesson of walking away from that job. Maybe it's the lesson of standing up for yourself. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships. We have the World in reverse, and then we have the Five of Cups in reverse. So from the relationship standpoint, there's a sense of turning the corner and moving on, which is kind of like this card over here. So we have the 2 5s coming out here. And then we also have the World, but it's coming up in the reverse. And that is looking at, like, you're trying to find closure, but you're getting frustrated because there's all of these delays. So like you thought you would turn the corner, and then it ended up that you didn't really turn the corner the way you thought. And so you're still feeling this sense of vulnerability and like weakness. And then, with this cutting away any of the nonsense, it does kind of look like, maybe you actually had turned a corner and this was just a little blip in the I'll call it energetic field, where it was like your fears and uncertainties were coming in and coloring it, because this is about clarity. And so, yes, you do have some delays that are coming in and some frustrations because you thought you had turned the corner, but it looks like you actually have. So it can be one of those situations where it was improving, and then here it's all of a sudden it kind of took a dip, and then it kind of made you wobble a little bit and you were getting frustrated, but it really is, trending in the right direction. So let's take a look at one of these love message oracle cards and see what else is coming in. Have faith. The angels are working behind the scenes to make this relationship flourish. So they were sending you the messages as it was starting to, I'll call it, recover. And then you kind of had a little wobble, lack of faith, and then it, but you're recovering. So you do have 2 of the 5s here. And, the 5s are about changes. So you do have 2 of them coming in. So it looks like some positive improvements are happening for you, Capricorn, as it relates to love and relationships. All right, and then life path and mission. Let's see what is coming out here. You have the 4 of Swords in reverse, and then you have the Queen of Wands in reverse. And so there's some overbearing selfishness and exhaustion that are happening. So it was kind of like you thought you knew what your path was, and then you were realizing, oh, maybe I don't. And so that was kind of making you stressed, exhausted, and burned out, and kind of putting you in this selfish energy, and also a little bit of that envious energy as you look around and maybe you feel like your friends have things all figured out, or people around you have their life path figured out, and you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, what's happening? And so if there's changes, if there's other changes going on, you could be kind of, trying to keep up with the Joneses in terms of, well, but I need to have a purpose, and that's stressing you out that you feel like you don't. But some of that is this transformation that's going on, like some of this overall sense of mastery and transforming your current scenario. So let's take a look at how long this, I'll call it this fuzziness, persists with you in terms of what your life path and mission is. Make it happen now. So make the change happen now. And let's see if there's anything in here that will give you maybe a little bit of thoughts or feelings or advice. Say no to people and things that stress you out. So part of it is if you're a people pleaser and, somebody asks you, oh, hey, can you help me with this? And you have this sense of, oh, okay, I'll do that. You don't have to do that. Just because somebody says they want to be in your energetic field doesn't mean that you have to let them. And I use the example a lot of when you have a cell phone is supposed to be there for your convenience. It doesn't mean that now because you have a cell phone, anybody and everybody who has your number automatically is entitled to access to you whenever they feel like it. It's there for your convenience. So say no to the people or the things that stress you out. If it's, maybe your kid's school and they're sending out emails, oh, join the PTO, be a classroom parent. And you're going, oh my gosh, that's just one more thing. Just say no. If you don't have it in your energetic bandwidth to do it, or you don't want to do it, or you don't think it's going to bring you any sense of joy or happiness, don't do it. So get more comfortable with telling people no. And that's not a mean thing. Sometimes it comes across like people think, oh, that's such a mean thing to do, but it'll help you find your purpose, because if you say yes to everything that comes across your path, then that's keeping you from finding your true purpose and finding what really lights you up. And when you're doing what really lights you up, that is the highest point of you contributing to the world around you. So that is the message for Capricorn. And now let's take a look at what is the energy coming in for Virgo. All right. Let's see what other messages we have for Virgo. The Lovers. And we have the Two of Wands in reverse. So the Lovers is about a decision. So, it can represent like an actual relationship, but it's also about balancing the masculine and the feminine energies, whether that's if you're in a twin flame scenario, it could be balancing with your twin, but even internally, all of us have our own masculine, feminine energies. And this is Amazonite. And this crystal is all about balancing your masculine and feminine. It comes in a couple different shades. So this one's like a lighter shade, but I like having those in my pocket. And so it's about balancing that creative, nurturing, feminine energy with the let's get it done, decisiveness and action-oriented masculine energy. So from a work perspective, if you thought that things were going well, and this was maybe kind of that feel good, oh, I'm part of a team and I found a mentor, and that it's kind of like that feel good, but you get the feeling, impression, whatever, that there's things that are happening behind your back. This can be the push of, hey, I'm going to tap into this masculine energy, and I'm going to, go right to the source and, hey, what's going on here? And try to get more assertive and advocating for yourself. The Two of Wands in reverse is about having kind of this failure to plan, and you're avoiding change, and there's some indecision. So some of it too with the Lovers card, that also is about there's a major decision to be made, and it can be a matter of you're avoiding change and you're avoiding making the decision. If there is something that feels off about the job, almost kind of like, but I really don't want to think about it too much, because if I do, then I know I'm going to have to make a decision, and I don't want to do it. So it looks like there's going to have to be a decision being made as it relates to job and career. So let's see time frame of when it looks like that decision is going to be made, kind of reaches a boiling point type of thing. It's already in motion. So you've already started this process, but it's just a matter of it needs a little bit more attention to actually finish making that decision. And remember, if the decision is that job is no longer suiting you, look at the transformation and awakening and elevating yourself into a higher place, jumping timelines to be in that higher vibration situation. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships. And remember, changes, it can be here that maybe there is a change coming up. All right, and then we have our Knight of Pentacles and our Five of Wands in reverse. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So there's a little bit of this like lazy energy when it comes to the relationship. And then there's also a sense of peace. So, if you'd been feeling this kind of like vulnerable, emotional state here, and that you were kind of lacking the courage, but then you have this clarity of seeing the relationship for what it is, it kind of brings in almost this sense of laziness of, wait a second. So it put in all this effort to turn this corner, and it still wasn't leaving us in a good place. So what does that mean for the future of this relationship? And I think the Knight of Pentacles, that energy coming in is kind of like, you know what? This is uninspiring if you're putting in all this effort and nothing changes. And so then it's pulling in a little bit of a sense of peace, because you've identified what the situation is. You're seeing it more clearly, and it's giving you peace. So a lot of times, people may try to turn a blind eye, like, oh, I don't really want to know. But if you know, then you can plan for the next steps. Even if the knowing is, hey, something here is broken. Or it's hey, this approach didn't work, and something new, we need to try something new. So this one is stay optimistic, positive thinking, and faith will bring romance into your life. And when it's talking about bringing it into your life, it kind of comes across that this is maybe ending, and this is a new romance coming into your life versus a resurgence in the romance that you'd kind of been working on. So this is reading as something new coming in, and a new change, and something maybe that's going to be a little bit of a maybe healthier option for you. And let's take a look at the life path and mission. Pull a couple cards there for you, Virgo. We have King of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have Death in reverse. So with the King of Pentacles in reverse, there's a little bit of this like greedy financial irresponsibility coming in. And then with our Death in reverse card, that one is kind of like you're resisting change, and there's this lack of movement, and it's like it's a change that's coming in, but it's unwelcome. And so you've been stressed out because you thought you knew what your path was, and then now there's been some seeing things a little bit differently, and it was leaving you stressed and kind of putting you in this like irresponsible, almost like greedy, you know, exploiting or like misuse of power type of a situation where you felt like, okay, well, I didn't know what my path was, but hey, now I'm going to try this. And it's kind of almost like a little bit of a ruthless energy. But you're resisting the change. And so it's kind of like maybe hanging on to it too long. So let's get one more clarifying card on that one. And then you have the Magician in reverse. And that's about, kind of like you're being manipulated and you haven't really planned very well. So this is an area that probably needs a little bit more work and a little bit more focus and energy. So let's see if there's anything from a timing perspective as to when some of this could come into a little bit better focus for you in the fall. So, that's a little ways off. And what are some other messages here? Take more time to meditate, to think about it. And every choice is a brick in the wall. So as you're trying to figure out what is your life path, really do a lot of meditating and think about what is it that makes you happy? What is it that lights your soul on fire? And then realize that every choice that you're making is a brick in the wall. It is building it. So don't continue down a path that you don't want to be on because you're building a future that you don't want. So if you want a different future, you have to stop putting those same bricks into the wall because you're just building the structure even taller and it's going to be harder to move on it later. So kind of take a little bit of a break, think about it a little bit more. Like I said, in kind of towards the end of the month, like you do have some more creative and imaginative energy coming in with the sun entering Pisces and Mercury entering Pisces. And so I think allowing some of that creativity and imagination to come in, I think will help bring you some clarity here in terms of your life path and mission. But, since this is a reading for the second half of the month, there are going to be some changes and you probably can't tackle everything all at once. So maybe just kind of meditate on this and don't feel the pressure that, you have to move on it right away. So that is the message that was coming through for Virgo. I hope that you found today's reading to be helpful. And as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. And there will be some additional videos posting, so make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when the new videos post. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.